Welcome to Raleigh Roots, a podcast about living, working, and raising a family in the Triangle. Join hosts Kate and Catherine for lighthearted conversations, stories, and interviews about what it is really like to live here. Whether you're thinking about moving to the Triangle or have already planted roots here, tune in and listen on your favorite device. And now your hosts, Kate and Catherine.
Hello, Raleigh peeps, and welcome back to Raleigh Roots. We are so glad you have joined us again today. We have lost count on what episode this is.
Yes, which is a good thing. It means that we keep on trucking.
That's right. And because we are a little old and, again, perimenopausal, so we are just be glad that we woke up, we got dressed, we brushed our teeth, and we arrived.
We did.
Yes. So we are glad you're here. We have got an awesome guest today. Super exciting. It's a little different. It's off the beaten path.
It is, which we are so excited to tell you about because, first of all, it's fascinating and it's something that I don't think has been covered very often.
No.
Now that I think about it.
And at first, when I was thinking about who we should have on here, it'll be entertaining. It'll bring in maybe some more male listeners instead of just female listeners. But actually, the more I got into it and when I talked to her before she came, I was like, this is actually a topic people want to know about, but don't know where to start to ask if they even need it. So you may find this episode is entertaining or helpful or know a friend that may need this.
Yes.
So we're having a private investigator.
Yes. A PI is here.
A PI! And y'all, she's great. She is awesome. Thanks for listening and enjoy our episode. All right, Raleigh peeps, as promised, we have an amazing guest, and here she is. Don't get confused. We all have the same name. This is Kat. She is a private investigator. So now we have Kate, Kat, and Catherine. And if we get confused and call each other the wrong names, just hang tight with us. But Kat has her own business. Kat's my PI. You got it. Now, let me tell you something. I've talked to her off air, and she is awesome, y'all. I mean, she's going to entertain us today, but she's also going to tell us some serious stuff. So, let's jump in. I want you to tell us how you got in the business, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, I am a native New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. And I came to North Carolina to do Reform City and the opportunities that Raleigh presented. So I came out for college I was about 18. So I got my commission as an officer in college, in the military police corps.
Okay.
And then I went to my officer's course. And then I worked for the Department of Correction in the prison. I was the first female in the men's and youth peace institution right down the street.
No way.
Yeah, I was the first woman that they put in the dorm. I was in a dorm with the keys in my pocket with 90 young men, all under the age of 25.
Get out.
And I made it out.
I'm glad.
I made it out. And so from there,
Well, you could do a whole podcast.
that's a whole podcast by itself because you see a lot.
I bet you do. I bet you showed him who was boss.
No. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
I like that.
In all candor, if you're a woman, it's very hard to be a man. And if you put me in a dormitory with 90 young men between the ages of 18 and 25, and the keys are in my pocket and the door is up there, chances are I'm not going to win. So you treat people like treat people. And then they respect you. And then they treat you, kind.
Even. Okay, good.
They treat you kind.
Great.
Great. As long as you're respectful, And so that's what my mother taught me, treat people like you want to be treated. And that's how I made it out there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made it out ever. I would have been scared.
Oh, it was rough.
Yeah. Oh, and I probably would have been.
Lots of blood. Lots of blood in the prison because you have so many encounters that are happening. And you have to think to yourself, that's a lot of testosterone in that age group.
Just gonna say.
That's a lot of
Fighting.
testosterone, a lot of fighting,
A lot of fights.
a lot of aggression, a lot of displaced aggression. So it's a lot.
Oh, man, sure. Okay, so you did that first.
Right.
And then what'd you do? Did you decide, hey, I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to do other things?
I worked with the Raleigh Police Department for 7 years and then I got injured on duty.
Oh,
Got broken leg, open fracture, chasing somebody, got to work, ended up in an ambulance, hadn't been there for 10 minutes.
no way.
Yes way. And the funny part is,
Did y'all catch him?
Don't worry about it. I had on a bulletproof vest and no bra underneath. So when they took off my vest, I was like, oh my God. I was like, but yeah, no, yeah, we caught them. But, when you're wearing a vest, you're not necessarily thinking about a bra. So if you have an ambulance.
Bras are overrated anyway.
I think so when you get a certain age. When you get a certain age, well, for some people they need them, but
I know. But when you do need them, you go take those suckers off real quick.
Well, first thing after 5 o'clock.
Yes. Immediately. Okay, so you got injured with the Raleigh Police Department, and you decided, okay, what's my next step?
Right. So I got injured, and I continued to work for a while. And then I'm sure everybody remembers Hurricane Frank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
I was put in an intersection to direct traffic for like 10 hours, and my leg felt like I had an axe grinding on it. And we didn't talk about it back then, but we talk about it now, right? Which is psychological warfare, PTSD.
Yeah.
And I got to the place where I really didn't want to put my hands on anybody anymore. I didn't want to fall down anymore. I didn't want to jump through fences. I already done all that. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to take my retirement. So I took my retirement. And then I sat at home and went to Home Depot and I watched paint dry. And then finally, I was so passionate. I'm so passionate about what it is I do. I became a private investigator. So
I love that.
Now, did you have to go to a special school to become a PI? Because you already had your police officer background, right? So you had that training.
Right. So to be a private investigator, you only have to have 3,000 hours of investigative experience.
Okay.
So I just was going through a divorce, sit on my mother's couch, made my application, and just got my license.
Okay.
No, it was my next, right? So I was trying to figure out how am I going to pay my bills, how am I going to navigate, how am I going to make it.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a good employee. I will get fired.
It's hard. And if I love you knew, I want to be on my own. I want to run my own business.
I tried it. And, there's always this voice in the back of your head when you're an employee. I'm making these people rich. They're making a ton of money off me. I don't want to be here because I know I like to come at 11 and leave at 1.
Yeah.
Except if it's my own gig, I am here to midnight, and that's just my personality. Right. So that's where I work the best.
Well, let's jump into some juicy stuff. Okay. So I want to know, first of all, does your job ever feel like you're in danger?
There are times, yes.
And how do you deal with that? Are you like, I still got to do this. It's my job. I've got to keep pushing forward.
No.
You don't?
No, not anymore. I mean, I'm a woman of a certain age, right? And I also have men that work with me, 2 men. And to be honest with you, we prioritize our safety.
Good.
And if anybody doesn't like it, they just don't like it. We take what the case gives. If it's not there for us to do and to be successful, we're not going to do it. We've gotten in some bad situations through the years. For example, putting on a tracking device and then you have somebody standing over saying, what are you doing underneath my car?
Woo!
Right? That's enough to make you lose your lunch, right?
That's happened.
It's happened on more than one occasion. And it hasn't happened recently because we live.
She said, okay, so what'd you do? Yeah, what do you say? You go under the car, somebody's like, what are you doing? Are you like, I'm checking your oil?
Right. So for example, and this is me a while ago. We've had it happen to other people, but it's not, I want to say I'm embarrassed, but I'm really not. So when we first started, tracking devices came out, you had to hardwire them to the car.
Oh, wow.
So, right?
Hardwire?
Yeah, with wires and going to the battery to get power. So I was up in a movie theater and a guy goes into the movie theater with his wife and then he tells me we're seated. So I'm thinking it's okay. So back in those days, it would take you an hour to get tracking device on a car because you had to wire it.
And so the husband and wife were in the movie and he hired you to track her because he thought she was doing something wrong.
Right.
Okay.
So he gave us keys to the car and then we were hardwiring the tracker on. And she came out to the car and I had her hood up. That was bad, right?
What did she do? What'd she say?
What are you doing underneath my car?
So the husband had hired you.
Right.
Because this was one of my questions.
Right.
Is it the husband or the wife? What's more common? But we'll get to that later. But
okay.
This one, the husband hired you.
Right. So the lady said, what are you doing underneath my car? What do you think my response was?
I don't know. I would have peed my pants.
I said, this is not your car. It's my car. I said, what are you talking about? That was an OG of gaslighting, right?
Yeah.
That was an OG of gaslighting. I said, let me go back here and check the license plate. I said, let me doggone. I said, this ain't my car. I said, I'm sorry, excuse me. Lowered the hood and walked away.
Sickening.
Yep. But here's the crazy part. 3 days, I didn't finish the job, right? So 3 days later, her car caught on fire on the belt line. smoke. The fire department had to come because the wire, like, hey, so that was horrible. So yeah, so that was way back then. But yeah, so she ended up finding out. But for that night, I survived.
Oh, that is crazy.
That's crazy.
A sharp, quick thing to come back with.
Well, you have to do something.
So if you're a private investigator, you got to be on your toes. I would have never thought about that. I would have been like, ah.
Some people are wittier than others, right? So with my experience, I've worked undercover before. So I've had people to challenge me. And I worked undercover one time in a warehouse, right? And when I showed up, I was talking to you the way I'm talking now, right? And the employee's like, yo, man, don't trust her. Why is she talking to me? Whoa. So the next day I came back and I was like, what the fuck y'all talking about? And so I had to completely change before they got locked in on how I talk. And I even said to the supervisor, I said, do you mind if I steal a little? Because I was working undercover at the warehouse. So in order for me to gain trust, I was like, I need to steal a little bit and have them see me steal. And then I started to gain trust. And then before you knew it, they were offering me like homemade liquor and stuff like that on the job. And you got a lot of big best. Yeah, lots of best. But yeah, so you have to be extremely adaptable.
Oh, you have to conform to what you're at.
You have. So read the room is key. Being able to read the room, read the person, read the environment, that intuitive.
Very fast. You have a little bit of time. And, I've even done some undercover prostitution campaigns. And so when people pull up, you can't entrap someone, right?
Right.
You have to, make the offer and you accept the offer. So there's a whole script. But you got to remember it all. Downtown Raleigh 20 years ago was a problem, right? 25 years ago was a problem. So police department wanted to clean it up. So I went down there where my little penny gold place and my jeans. And I had my jacket collar up, and people pull up and they're like,
"Yep."
They're like,
not it.
Right. So then the next day, I didn't comb my hair. I had a shirt hanging out. You know what I mean? I had on some old dirty sneakers, half turned over. I had the cars lined up. I mean, they're lined up.
Get out.
You can't, you have to look the part, right? If you look too clean, then that's not the part.
Okay.
And so
makes sense.
I had them lined up and one truck pulled up and they were like, how much? And I said, for who? They said for all of us. I said, for all y'all. Oh, yeah, sometimes like 4 or 5 people. Like, what? It's literally
nuh-uh. Like they want I'm like, oh, tell me more. That's crazy. There's so much that goes on in this world that you just.
I actually sat with the head of the police department recently. Yeah, the chief. The chief. We did. And we were with a nonprofit that's awesome. And you've heard of SHIP?
No, I haven't.
Okay. They're doing great work with human trafficking.
Okay.
And so, Raleigh's got a big issue.
I have a big issue.
We have a big issue with human trafficking. They do a lot with bringing the girls in and, taking survivors and giving them a place to live and safe spot. So apparently back then, it's still happening.
Well, I think we'll overlook human trafficking, and it is here in Raleigh.
Yeah.
And I had a case not long ago where it took us a little while to really unravel the layers of the onion because it looked like it was something that it wasn't, right? Okay. So just generally speaking, we have a business and the business is flying in employees, right? And while they're flying in employees, the employees are staying in strategic locations. And then they go to work to perform a service. But then when they leave that workplace, they perform another service, right? So if you look at all of these services they're performing, if they're not legal services, and the people are being flown in against their will, and they're being managed, that's human trafficking.
Yeah.
From like a bird's eye view, it just looks like people doing strange work.
Right.
5 hours.
Yeah.
But you have to really look inside and see, like, what is your motivation and why are they doing this?
Got it.
So if you have said, you told me when we talked on the phone that, criminal investigation was not really your thing. And you tried that and you were like, nope, not doing that. And that get personal. So if you had to rank, what is your number one, I would say, topic or subject that you investigate the most? Is it affairs and marriage and personal stuff, or is it disability through a company, or what are your top 2 or 3?
So what I've done, I have kind of tailored my practice to whatever's happening in my life.
Okay.
Right? And that's how I've been successful. So when I first became a PI, there was Raleigh police officers, deputies that had a business. I was only 29.
Wow.
Yeah, right? I've been a PI for 27 years, right? And so that was kind of like a red ocean. It was shark infested. I was the kid on the block at KTLB. And I said, you know what? I'm going to move over to insurance work where my ocean is blue and I can do work, right?
Yeah.
So I had a red ocean. I was getting some domestic cases, infidelity, but there were older, mature men that kind of had that space cornered up. Right? So then I went to another area.
Okay.
I did workers' comp disability, right? And then, of course, I had a baby. But because workers' comp requires you to travel all over because you get working for cities, for towns, you're working for businesses.
And those cases are more like if somebody says, I cannot come into work because I have a disability and they want to get paid.
Well, a lot of those cases are verification, right? So a lot of times, let's say, for example, you might have an employer and they have an employee that they partner with a nurse and they're trying to get them back to work, and the employee saying, I can't. And the doctor saying nothing's wrong. So they just want to verify, right? It's really a verification. I try
Because they're like, well, we don't want to pay this nurse disability or workers' comp when they really can work. She's saying she can't work. So you've got busy stuff like that.
But I look at it from a less accusatory standpoint.
Okay.
My job is to be a finder of fact and not to go and say, let's get another bad one. You know what I mean? My job is to say, I look at the facts and I'm never going to go in prejudice against anybody. I don't care who has hired me. And, if it's there, it's there. And if it's not, it's not.
I like that.
Now it's fascinating.
It
I
is.
really love it.
I want to just be your assistant.
I know another intern.
I just want to ride around with you.
You don't.
You don't.
1 hour, she'd be like, let me out. Like, 1 hour, she'd be like, I got the bathroom.
Totally busted you. So I'd be like, wait, I want to see more of this.
Exactly.
Be like, Catherine. Okay. Tell us about infidelity. How do people even start? Do I call a PI? When do I, even go down that road? Tell us some good juice about that.
All right. So now, because I'm in a different ocean, right? When I had a baby, I couldn't travel like I had been doing, right?
Okay.
So then I refocused and retooled and rezoned. And then I came back to the Triangle area to do my work.
Okay.
And my daughter's now 19. So for the last 19, 20 years, I've been focusing on infidelity cases, right?
Okay.
So that's where the money resides for me right now. That's what I do.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay.
And I have equal husbands and wives. So I'm not going to say that equally sex is any better than the other because they both do some things that are absolutely shameful that you wouldn't want to repeat around your mother. And that's what I do.
What is the average age? Do you think there is an average age group that primarily are the ones calling, or is it just random?
So my preference is not to work for people that are not married. Like when they said, oh, my boyfriend, I think he is. So I tend to stay away from those, right? Everything we do is to a legal standard. So my clients are people that have resources, that have assets, where there's alimony, where there's equitable distribution, where there's criminal conversation. Those are my clients, right?
Okay.
So if Paul is cheating with Susie, and they're just going to the back of a parking lot. He has nothing to lose. She has nothing to lose. She's been married 6 months. He's been married 2 years. They don't have a baby. There's nothing there. Those people can get divorced, right, at the courthouse steps in 10 minutes. So my people are more invested in their marriage.
Okay.
Or have children that they want to protect.
And are you actually like we see in the movies? Are you in the back parking lot with a camera?
I am.
And you get pictures. I bet you've seen that all.
Seen it all.
Have you seen Heinies and movies?
I've seen some naked bodies. I'll tell you this. If you go to the beach, even if you're in the penthouse suite, close the blinds. Don't go back. Close the blinds. And if the blinds are open, then I'm going to go to the beach. And if it's at night and it's dark outside and you have all your lights on, there you go. That's my first tidbit.
I love it. Now, do you have to develop, or I guess now it's all online. I was carrying a 150-year-old person, but developing pictures, in the movies you'll see, I filmed the picture. So you don't do that.
Yeah.
We have internal servers.
Okay.
We have software that we use, and then we keep the video footage. So, for example, I might meet a husband, right? And he might say to me, hey, Kat, I don't want any record of this because any information that's on my phone could be subpoenaed, discovery. And then might say to me, you keep the video. And then I'll keep the video until he tells me to destroy it. Or you have some wives who say, I want to try to forgive my husband for this. I don't want to see what he did. I just want to know that you have it. Because sometimes healing a relationship from a past hurt is harder than walking away. Right.
Right. And I'm glad you bring that up because I don't want to make light of this or say that it's not a serious thing. And I
Yeah.
think emotionally, you gotta support regardless of someone's decision about what they do in daily. It is a personal decision, right?
It's a very personal decision. And my job, again, is just to find her the fact, right? I'll make sure that sometimes when you work domestic cases, clients want you to be the second therapist. Right?
Absolutely.
Which is so while remaining polite, I'm always professional,
Yeah.
but I make sure that I don't cross that barrier because it's just too heavy. If I'm handling 6 cases with 6 people on divorce, I can't be therapist to
Yeah.
these people. It's just,
Yeah.
it'll bring me down.
You're running a business, you're providing the facts you are hired to do.
Unbiased.
Yeah.
And I'm going to refer them to a therapist if they don't help.
Yeah.
Good. I love that. Good people make bad decisions, right? All the time.
All the time.
And you do provide the hard evidence, and you have to say, I'm not getting this out. Y'all have to figure this out. It's different. You could line up 10 different couples that are going to handle it 10 different ways.
Right.
I probably only go to court twice a year.
Okay. So
Really hard to believe, right?
well, that's what I was wondering. Like, how often are you called in as a witness? Or can they just take the information that you've provided and give that to their attorneys?
Right. So we do everything to a legal standard.
Yeah.
If I've done my job well,
Yeah.
then you won't need me.
Okay.
If my client has the bandwidth and the resources for me to satisfy the elements, right?
Yeah.
So some people think, oh, my husband's cheating. If I just catch Amy kissing George in the parking lot, that's cheating. In North Carolina, legally, that's not cheating, right?
What is cheating? I don't even know.
Right. So
Right.
this is to a legal standard. There she goes.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a checks.
Right. So you don't literally have to catch somebody in the act, but there are certain standards where you can vote that they have time to be intimate, that they have the place to be intimate, and that they have the opportunity to be intimate. So if Amy goes over George's house and George has 10 other friends there, how do you know what they did inside the house? You
Right.
can't necessarily conclude. So, and everything is held to a standard of reasonableness.
So what has anybody hired you because they believe that their significant other has another life that they're living,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like a second or a second life, or maybe right? It is. Like there are I know
Lifetime movies that show them.
so I know people that have
Going
Yeah.
through.
but yeah.
So I had a situation years ago where my client was a veterinarian and she was married to a very prominent attorney. All right. Seems like ideal thing, right?
Right.
They got 2 beautiful children. They live in a beautiful home. But he was doing some things that were very, very odd in the bedroom. And she went out to the garage one day. She checked his laptop, couldn't find out. He was looking at some videos that I wouldn't even care to describe. The videos were so bad that I wouldn't even email them to anybody because I didn't want to go to jail myself. It was that bad. It was so bad that the lawyer had to end up instituting supervised visitation for him. He was doing things that were extremely unusual or abnormal. A lot of things that I won't even mention.
I can
I'm only imagining. It was
Yeah.
the worst that I ever seen.
okay.
Just to make a long story short, he died. And he ended up dying. He had a brain tumor. So we think that the brain tumor
Wait, I've heard of this.
is real.
It's real.
It was affecting his brain, his behavior, his decision making.
Oh my God.
And at the time we were like, he looked normal, right? But his behavior was so odd. Wow. He had a brain tumor. And sometimes you meet people that have a medical condition going on, like the movie A Beautiful Mind, and you don't know if they're dealing with something. And then you have other people that are suppressing their lifestyle. They want to be free on the other side.
Yeah.
So there's so many variables.
Whoa. I've never even thought about that. So has anybody ever tried to retaliate and been like, I can't believe you took pictures of me and now you've ruined my life? Have you had to hear that stuff too?
Oh, yeah, but I can fix that.
Tell me how you fix it.
If you come near me, I'm going to jail. Okay?
Yes.
If you email me one more again, you're going to jail.
There you go.
And if you have any questions, have your lawyer call me. Because I don't play. I have a family, I have a child, and when it comes to my safety, my family safety, I know what the law is. Now, that's one place I'm not going to play, in front of a magistrate.
Good for you.
And in fact, I've had to do it before.
I'm sure. I can't. In 30 years, I'm sure you've had people.
I've had to have my client down there, and that's what we call a DVPO. You can get a DVPO. It's called a domestic violence order of protection.
Uh-huh.
But if a person's not related to you, it's called a DVPO-C, right? So,
Because it's not somebody who's not.
all right, B is when you're married to the person. C is when you're not married to the person. So, mhm.
Is there any jobs that you will not do? Is there anything that you'll just refer out and not going to investigate?
Well, I do not do police work anymore.
Okay.
And part of the reason being is because I'm a retired Raleigh police officer. I don't want to go to court and have to even criticize or critique what a Raleigh officer has done. Even though so many years out, it wouldn't be a conflict. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't want to say. I also don't want to go into some seedy neighborhoods because there's a lot of crime out there. And in order to go there, you have to go into some stores with bullet holes and everything like that. I want to go home at night.
Okay.
That's number one. And I also don't handle any case involving sex offenses.
So sex offenses like rape or child, none of that.
Not for me. Not that I couldn't. It's in my days, I even handled a case with a serial killer. Managed case with a serial killer, gentleman killed 3 people in Durham. Had a mass, blood, DNA, murder for hire. So I have handled those cases before. I've supervised those cases before. But it's not something I just want to tolerate at this place.
How do you get that off of you? I feel like I can't even watch deranged movies because I feel like it sticks to me and I can't get rid of it. And I'll lie in bed at night and I see all these things and it just really haunts me. I mean, how do you do that and not take that home and not let that affect you?
Well, so that's my cup of tea. That makes him tick, right? So this whole thing was happening with Savannah Guthrie's mother, and I'm so intrigued by that. I just watched that like on heavy rotation. I don't have time for a podcast. I want to have time for a podcast, but I'm just so passionate about what it is that I do. I told my daughter, I said, I've got more money out of my degree than anybody else I know because it's who I am. Yes, it's a fabric of my being.
And we'll go back to this, but sidebar, what do you think happened to Nancy Guthrie?
Oh gosh, it's such a terrible story.
It's sad.
But here's what I think. I think that it may have been a worker who knew she was vulnerable. Because out of all,
Even a welder at her house.
even a pool person, even somebody who can clean up pool, right? How do they pick that house to go to? Most houses have 2 occupants, right? A husband and a wife and a family, and it was in a well-to-do neighborhood. And it's so windy and there are no street lights. How do you pick that house to go back to, right? To me, that person was familiar with the house. That person's not an expert because if it would have been me, I would have come up and I would have had a mask on like he did. But I probably had on all black and the video was all black, but I would have spray painted that camera from a distance. I would have put that camera out from a distance. And then I would have approached. He goes to get bushes and everything like that. I mean, that's just.
And then sort of spills up there.
Yeah.
Somebody were talking about it at a work event, and they were like, one theory is that it wasn't a professional and that it went wrong. Like they didn't mean for it to go that badly. Now they don't know what to do. Who knows?
Yeah.
Regardless.
Why you hit an 84-year-old woman? It's just the most awful thing. I'll be honest with you. If I broke into a house, let's just say I lost my mind for a minute, and I saw an 84-year-old woman, I would say, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna help myself to the door."
Yeah.
There's certain things you don't do, right?
Right.
And that is like crazy. And it's like the Raleigh case, which is so terrible. And it's haunted me with the rape property.
For sure.
I live close to there and my children go to school close to there. And it's just so sad that there's crazy in this world, right? And I'm guessing, like Kate said, how do you not take it home? Part of it, I guess, you have to say this is a business transaction and a business deal, and I can't emotionally get involved, right? I mean,
well, the thing is that to answer your question, yes, right? But the thing is, if you take home everybody's situation, I would never trust my own spouse, right? So here's my theory about cheating husbands, cheating wives, right? If I have to hire a PI, I probably don't need you. Case open, case closed. I mean, that's just me. But that's because I've been in this game for so long, right?
Right.
And my threshold is just different. My tolerance level is different than somebody else's. Because I'm not gonna tap your phone. I'm not gonna put a recorder in your car. I'm not putting a trapper in your car. I'm not doing any of that.
Okay.
If me and you, we're not vibing, it's not working, we're adults. Let's have a conversation about separate ways. I love you, but maybe we're not meant to be together.
Where is the most common place that people cheat? In a car, in a parking garage, hotel,
all three. So you have different cheaters, right? You have some people that cheat, especially in today's era, right? We got Grindr, we got these You got some soccer moms that will go into a library parking lot to drop them off their children and get into it right in the parking lot with somebody's a complete stranger. Yeah. And we got it on video. So yes, it happens. Yeah. I mean, like 300 yards from the school.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm such an open book. I would be like, yo, I got to tell y'all something. I would. Oh, do you get pictures like now with how like fancy phones are now? I mean, you can use them and just get amazing pictures. And
Okay.
you can get
So
good coverage.
We use a couple tools. We use cameras. We use video cameras that have a higher zone. Like I use phones. We use let's just have a coffee cup, right? Coffee cup. You're sitting in a bar, or you're gonna carry soda as a camera here. So we do so many things. And I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this for a long time. A lot of lawyers know me, but nobody thought when I was in my 20s, 30s, that a Black woman would be a PI. So I've been able to get on the elevator with people. And I'd be like, hey, y'all. They're like, what floor? I'm like 6, because I know that they're going to get off on 4. And then I'm going to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to get off here. And then I follow them to the room because nobody's suspecting me.
That's awesome. I love it. You are a rock star.
I don't know about that.
Wait, I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Here we go. Like, wait, I know she has to call. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm so excited.
How many times has somebody hired you thinking that their spouse or significant other is cheating and they're not?
Probably about 2 times a year.
Okay.
Probably like, so a lot of times when by the time a person comes to us, they need to send a text message. A person might leave an iPad behind, even an Apple Watch, your signal. So sometimes when people come to us, they have pretty good concrete proof, or the child has overheard something, or the spouse is staying late with no explanation, or the spouse just comes home and says, you know what, this is not working for me after 25 years. I don't like it anymore. So, yeah. But it's a rarity. By the time it gets to me, the person is typically cheating. You do have some people that are aggravating as hell, and the person just don't want to be with them anymore. I mean, that happens too, right? Yeah. I talk to them for a little while, and I'm like, I see why you. I see. I mean, with all due respect, you're lying. You know. Yes, I like you and everything like that, but some people just go
Social media.
Okay.
Has anybody ever come to you and tried to help you like track down someone that is a predator online or mess with their,
I don't do this.
you don't do that.
Right. So when you start dealing with social media, you start dealing with IP addresses, you start dealing with surreptitious apps, you start dealing with deleted text messages. So if I have a situation like that, I will refer that to a forensic investigator. We also have, I specialize in surveillance, right?
Okay.
But some people specialize in counter surveillance, which means I want to see if I'm being followed myself. All right. And then then there are certain people that do bug sweeps. That's counter surveillance. I want to see if somebody's eavesdropping on me. And then you have some people that specialize, like I said, in the forensic trail. For example, in covering deleted text messages, Snapchat videos. If you guys are familiar, which I'm sure everybody is, you look at the Alex Murdaugh case. In South Carolina.
Yeah.
That was purely a forensic case, right? That got him caught. It was his vehicle. It was him leaving his phone at the house. It was him going to his mother's house and then being able to track his distance. That was a forensic case to the T.
Okay. Craziest case you've ever had?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's so many that fit that bill, right?
I know that's a hard question.
That's a hard question.
Is there anything that you want to get on here that we have not covered?
I want everybody to know, if you think your spouse is cheap, right? Don't put a recording device in your phone. Okay? That's eavesdropping.
Because then that can't be.
It's not going to help you, right? And you can't introduce evidence that is illegally obtained, right? So sometimes people get so hungry for the truth that they start doing things that compromise their own investigation, and they compromise their integrity before a court, right?
Okay.
So you're not a PI. Don't try to be a PI. So everybody wants to say, I'm just going to take an AirTag and I'm just going to look in the back of this car. But Apple has spent a lot of money that AirTags are not used for stalking. So, for example, we had a lady, her husband used like some rubber cement glue to the AirTag underneath her car. She approaches a vehicle and the AirTag is constantly telling her, XYZ AirTag is with you. XYZ AirTag is with you. She pulled it off, went to the police department, and they had a warrant for his arrest, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you one more tip about that. Staying out of trouble. Okay.
No recording device in the car.
No AirTags.
No AirTags.
No GPS tracking.
no tracking device.
Everybody says, it's my car. Well, it's your car, but you don't own your spouse, right? Your spouse also owns that car too. So in North Carolina, private investigators have a subsection that says subsection C of 74C, that says we are not subject to tracking, stalking laws, right? But if I follow somebody, I can do it legally. If you follow somebody, it's a crime. People phone me up all the time. They're like, I would follow my husband, except he knows my car. And you would be committing a crime. I want to get the listeners something to let them know. Don't do things to get you in jail. I'm very good people committing crimes. One of the things I want to say to somebody is if you have a legitimate case, if you mean that your spouse is really cheating and you have young children and there's alcohol involved and your spouse might be drinking and driving and it becomes a dangerous situation, there are certain situations where you need a PI and you cannot risk your way out, right? So don't risk your child's safety. Get a private investigator, document it, and protect your child at all costs.
Slate if you have doubts, call Kat.
Call Kat.
It's the safest. It's the most legal, and it's really the smartest, most efficient way because you are going to be able to use whatever you find.
Yes.
And if somebody wants to hire you, we'll link her information. I know a ton of attorneys refer to you. You probably have past clients, or what's the best way for people to reach out to you or for you to get business?
Okay, so if somebody wants, my website is catsipi.com.
Cat's IPI.
And all you have to do is hit submit request.
Okay. And you know how some kids have to do internships?
No.
Not for kids. I want to do that.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. No.
I would totally be a disaster.
You would not sleep at night.
No. And I might measure your case of it once.
I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So Kat was phenomenal. I really appreciated that she gave us all some tips at the very end. So do not become your own private investigator if you do believe that something is going on at home. Call a professional. I had no idea that there are different laws and you can't just go and put a recording device in your significant other's car because it's illegal.
I know. And thankfully, I've never had to use the PI and hopefully I won't have to. But if I ever do, I am glad to know that we know someone professional and good. And I think she is like, as you can see and what you have heard, she's on her A game.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years of investigating.
And she was a cop. Yeah, she's awesome.
Seen it all.
And if you need a PI, now you have a contact here in Raleigh.
Yes.
Or I guess we didn't even ask her, but I'm sure she covers.
Goes to Durham.
Yeah,
she
covers other
and
areas
she did
too.
mention the beach.
Yeah.
So
she will go, I'm sure, wherever, she's needed. But thanks for joining us. And we already have 2 more guests on our calendar. So stay tuned. And if y'all want to hear from anybody specific or have ideas, shoot us
send them over.
Yeah. And we will, honey, y'all know me, I'll find them. I will find them.
Well, we hope you love this one.
Have a great day. And as normal, no.
Normal.
Not normal. And all right, Raleigh peeps, stay rooted and a little reckless. Bye.
Bye.